action requirement adjudication hearing. This is the second time we've done this at the request of the, I presume, Mr. Harkness. Under the provisions of the community charter, a reconsideration of the remedial action requirement has been granted to the property owner of 1395 Trans-Canada Highway. This quasi-judicial hearing is being convened pursuant to Division 12 of the community charter in order to consider the proposed remediation action requirement for the property located at 1395 Trans-Canada Highway in the village of Cache Creek. At this hearing, the village will present information related to the need for a remedial action requirement. After this presentation is complete, the property owner or their representative will be given the opportunity to speak. Following this, any member of the public who feels that their interest may be affected by this matter may make presentations to council. Any questions or concerns by those viewing online must be typed in on the Facebook Live site, beginning with the first and last names of the person making the submission. You may then give us the benefit of your views concerning the proposed remedial action requirement. Members of council may, if they wish, ask questions of you following your presentation. However, the main function of council members during the question period is to listen to the views of the public. Everyone shall be given a reasonable opportunity to be heard at this meeting. No one will be or should feel discouraged or prevented from making their views heard. To maintain order during the hearing and to ensure everyone has a reasonable opportunity to be heard, the following rules of procedure have been established for hearings. Only the proposed remedial action requirement for 1395 Trans-Canada Highway is being considered at this hearing. Each speaker will be permitted to address the hearing twice. Initial presentations will not be limited, providing your comments are relevant to the issues at hand and the hearing is not being obstructed. After each person who wishes to speak has done so, a second opportunity to speak will be allowed. However, each speaker will be limited to 10 minutes. To begin your presentation, please state your first and last names for the record, and if you are for or against imposing a remedial action requirement on the property located at 1395 Trans-Canada Highway. Your name and comments will be recorded in the minutes of this meeting and any reports generated from this meeting. Please observe these rules. If you have any concerns with the manner in which this hearing is conducted, please direct your comments to the chair. If there are any online participants who wish to address the hearing, the Hub Online will now read them out. Okay, so do any council members feel they have a conflict of interest? Seeing none, apparently we're going to have a staff presentation, CAO Couture, to present regarding the remedial action requirement.
Good evening, everyone. As we all know, tonight's hearing is a reconsideration of Council's earlier decision to impose a remedial action requirement for the structure at 1395 Trans-Canada Highway owned by Ms. Harkness. To summarize the property as a long and well-documented history, the original shed that was on the structure was heavily damaged in the 2015 Lopez Creek flood. In 2018, unpermitted reconstruction was noticed and a stop work order was issued. By 2023, the structure had expanded into a two-story building being used as a dwelling. A multi-agency inspection that year found serious safety violations, including but not limited to unsafe stairs, unapproved plumbing and electrical work, no legal egress from the upper floor, and the building's location itself posed an additional risk. A do not occupy order was posted immediately. Since then, staff and bylaw enforcement have made every reasonable effort to achieve voluntary compliance. Three extensions were granted, and the village even waived demolition fees to encourage cooperation. Despite this, no demolition work has occurred, and the building remains occupied in contravention of both the order and the building bylaw. For clarity, any entry is considered occupation, and the building is unsafe. Regarding the reconsideration letter, a few clarifications are necessary. The structure is not grandfathered. It was rebuilt and enlarged after major damage without permits, which under section 1.9 of the building bylaw requires full compliance with current standards. The suggestion that taxation of the property legitimizes the building is incorrect. Assessment does not create legal approval of the structure. Finally, the claim of procedural fairness we believe is unfounded. The owner has been provided notice and opportunities to respond at every stage of this process, and the property owner was even given a year to complete remedial action work and signed an agreement stating that they would do just that, and to date we have seen no action take place. At this point, the structure remains unsafe, unlawful, and environmentally hazardous. Staff therefore recommend that council uphold council's original decision requiring the removal of the building within 60 days with costs recoverable under section 17 of community charter if the order is not met. This is not a decision that we take lightly. The village has shown patience and fairness for more than 7 years now on this file, and the time has come to ensure public safety, the environment, and uphold our bylaws.
Thank you. Are there any questions from council to staff? Seeing none, it's now the opportunity for the property owner or authorized representative to present. Yeah. We all know who you are, but don't forget to state your name, first and last name when you start.
Corey Harkness. I'm the son of Tammy Harkness, the homeowner. With the fact of 60 days being to get everything and take it down, it's impossible to do. So basically we're trying to get more time than that, because we can't do that in 60 days. It was hard enough for me to find another place to live, and I've done that, and if we're not able to go in the building, then how are we supposed to take it down? Is what we don't understand that part. So that's the answer to any of those questions.
Is that the sum total of your presentation?
That's the start of it. That I want to know where it goes from there, because if we can't go in the building, how are we supposed to take it down?
Administrator Kutcher.
Typically what would happen with a do not occupy order is you are able to enter a do not occupy structure for the purpose of remediation. For example, there's other buildings within the municipality that have do not occupy orders on them, but any time that they're accessed, the village has to be informed that there will be access on a certain day and time. So say as an example, one property, anytime that they're going to be entering the actual structure, they reach out and tell us from this time to this time on this day, we're gonna have people there, we're gonna have PPE in place to make sure people are safe. And basically it's just us being aware. If it's for the purpose of remediation, it's allowed, but we have to be aware that it's being used, because otherwise it's technically being in a place that you're not supposed to be. And so it can be enforced because a do not occupy order is enforceable by the police. So technically somebody can be removed from the property if they're noticed in that space.
Because I have no problem with complying with it, it's just the timeline is almost impossible. I work full time, and I now found a place to live so I can move everything out of there and start taking it down. But 60 days is impossible. That's the thing, I can't do that in 60 days. Because that's basically me doing it myself. So, and I've invested a lot into it. Sure, it wasn't done correctly, but it's been 7 years and there's a lot of things that go behind that. Like I was incarcerated, I wasn't allowed in town, and all these other things. So, I myself am available now, but I do work full time. And I have started, even though you say I'm not supposed to go in there, I have packed up most of the stuff, got it out of there, moved it into a new place, and started tidying around outside. So I'm not sure where to go from there. I can only do so much.
I'm sure council would be interested in hearing your estimate of how long you need in order to remove the building.
I would say probably by February I could have it down, completely down.
And that includes any foundation there.
Now, the foundation part, is part of the foundation is actually attached to our sewer system because it was there to begin with, so I don't know how that would affect the sewer system if we take that apart. Because it goes from the house over to that part and connects to it, so I'm not sure if that means we're ruining the whole sewer system or what that would entail.
Yeah, Administrative Chair.
That specific point, would be something that I would have to take back to our building inspector and just confirm some details on. It may be allowable, considering that that specific component was there in the past. But again, I'd have to check with the building inspector just to confirm that.
Yeah, you said February, you could probably have the whole thing down.
By the end of February.
Yeah.
But then on top of that, we wanted to know if we get rid of this building, are you guys going to be doing something to stabilize the bank there and the water that does come through there now? Because anytime there is high water, it just comes onto our property, and it never did before. So I don't know if you guys have done anything because you can't get in there, because obviously I have a building there, or if it's just you were planning on it. Because there was talk about that in 2016, about stabilizing the stage road on the side of where the ravine is, and maybe changing the culvert.
Administrative Chair.
Further to that, it's my impression that all works for Stage Road have been completed. I'm not sure if it was well before my tenure, so I'm not sure the full extent of any culvert work that was previously completed. You may know that better than myself.
The culvert hasn't been touched, and the water's not even coming from the culvert, it's coming from underneath Stage Road, which is concerning to me because I don't know where it's coming from. But it could be just water finding its way underground, but if it's coming from underneath Stage Road and eroding it, that will be a bigger problem for you guys in the future, and possibly anybody downhill from it. Yeah,
and it's typically the practice of the village to not work directly within people's private property. We manage our own infrastructure, and people being in floodplains and that sort of thing, it's not something that we typically do going into those spaces to do things like slope stabilization or things like that.
Well, that part of the slope stabilization is all part of that church property. Because so I don't know.
Yeah, which it's private property and private property, right?
Okay. So is the culvert part of the private property too then?
The culvert is a village asset.
So what are we gonna do from here? Because I can probably have it done by February, end of February.
That's up to.
We'll see how council talks about that coming up here shortly. Is that the total of your presentation at this point?
Yeah, like I said, I'm willing to work with you guys, right? So I'm not gonna, I have other things I could bring up, but I'm not gonna bring them up because as long as we can try to come to terms and actually make it feasible so I can get what you guys want done. And in a matter of time that you guys will be happy with and I can actually perform.
Thank you. Are there any questions from council to Mr. Harkness?
I just
Councillor
have one,
Peters.
and it's not meant to be negative, so please don't take it that way, but I just want the answer. We have a history, right, of promise and not completion, so I get the feeling tonight that you have made the firm commitment to do that. I guess my only concern is that it doesn't happen, so.
In the past, I was unable to, I had been told by lawyers and because I had court and I wasn't allowed to come here. And I was told that my court was supposed to be done way before the summer, and they kept dragging it on. So it was out of my hands. I had committed to doing it, expecting that I would be done by court.
Thank you.
And then that never happened, so.
Thanks.
Are there any other questions from council for Mr. Harkness?
Well, I have
Councillor Ranta?
Okay, so you're asking for kind of basically, I don't know if it would be 120 days instead of 60 days approximately. And do you think it would be half complete by the 60-day mark?
Well, like I said, the last 60 days I basically was finding a place to put my stuff, and it was hard to find a place to rent. I found a place now, and so I think it will move forward a lot faster. So in 60 days, I'm hoping to have at least the back part of the exterior, like the back part of the building, the addition that I put on, taken down, and within 60 days. That's the first part I'm going to start on. So
Thank you. Are there any other questions from council for Mr. Harkness? Seeing none, is there any public input into this matter? For the second time, is there any public input into this matter?
I
Yeah.
guess I just don't understand what it's about. I guess I just saw quick like on the agenda earlier tonight to just come here and see what the situation was. Is it something, a building near the creek or?
Yeah, a combination of things, the construction of the building and the proximity to the Lopez Creek, those are non-compliant. And so there was earlier a decision to require the property owner to remove the structure within 60 days. And now he's come back and is, I presume, asking for an extension of the 60 days so that he can, in light of the fact that he's working full-time, so that he can have time to, I presume, remove the building. Okay. For the third and final time, is there any other public comment at this time? Seeing none, are there any final comments from staff?
The only comment that I have, and everything, my TV turned off and then switched, so my notes went away. 1 moment. Looking at dates, Saturday, February 28th, is 131 days from today. For council's reference, so if that was the purview of council to make an extension to said date, the motion would be changed from 60 days to 131 days.
Thank you. Any other comments from staff on this matter? Seeing none, are there any final comments from Mr. Harkness? No? Now it's up to council to deliberate the proposed motion, and they may request clarification at this point, but no new evidence is permitted. Councillor Peters.
I would move that in the spirit of cooperation, we give a final extension on the Harkness property at 1395 Trans-Canada Highway of an additional 131 days, which would take us to Saturday, February 28th, 2026.
Is there a seconder?
Okay.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Councillor Dubois.
In my opinion, I would suggest that we not change and give an extension. That being said, I think we would allow staff to act within their purview to provide that based on a show of good faith from Mr. Harkness, and then we can enforce it as we need it based on that. But I would rather not change the enforcement date, given how long this has been dragging out and everything like that. I think this is the end of it, and we have a final point at that point. So I'd rather not see that change at this point, but allow staff. If Mr. Harkness feels that he needs till the end of February, then we allow staff that opportunity to take that into proviso as they're enforcing the order.
Administrator Couture.
With a remedial action requirement specifically, they have to have specific dates. It has to be very firm as to what council's actual end date is in order for it to be enforceable. So if it was that staff, if it was to stay at 60 days, I wouldn't be permitted in any way to grant any sort of extension, besides actually returning to council and asking, doing this whole process again based on the situation. But even then, my understanding is it's once the final decision has been had, once there's been a reconsideration, that's kind of the line. It's a very firm line in the sand that says this is it.
Councillor Dubois.
Based on that, then I would be willing to change, but I think we've got to be quite clear that we can't allow this to hang out any longer, and that we have to be willing at the end of that time, at the end of 131 days, that we are enforcing it in a very rapid manner, not allowing it to drag out. That's been 7 years. It's too long.
That's why I
Councillor
gave the
Peters.
motion, I said final extension.
Any other comments related to, we've got a motion to extend the requirement time from 60 days to 131 days, meaning that it would expire on February 28th, 2026. Any further discussion on that motion?
I have my hand up.
Oh, did you? Okay, I didn't see it. Councillor Ranta.
Yeah, I agree with what's been said. I think that it needs to be clarified, like that this has been a long process, and in just everybody has to be very clear that today this new deadline is the last deadline. So, you know, we're trying to work as good-heartedly as we can. I mean, there's obviously been a lot of staff time that this has taken up over time, and our community just can't afford for this to go on any longer.
Any other discussion related to the motion to extend the time from 60 days to 131 days? Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
So seeing no further discussion on the motion, then I'll call the question on the motion to extend from 60 days to 131 days the remediation requirement. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously. That, I believe, brings to a conclusion the remedial action requirement adjudication hearing, and I will declare the hearing closed. And yeah, thank you, and call the Cache Creek Council meeting of October 20th to order.
Thanks, Glenn.
I will have things up on the screen there, but it's gonna be fussy.
Okay, we have,
I tried to get it on the screen. It's
oh, no problem.
is the answer.
No problem. We can whip through the rest of this in no time. We have minutes of the October 6th Committee of the Whole meeting, pages 1 to 3. Could I have a motion to adopt as circulated?
So moved.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. And we have the regular council meeting of October 6, 2025. Could I have a motion to adopt as circulated?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Is there any business arising from the minutes? Seeing none, we have committee reports. Economic Development, Councillor Dubois.
Nothing at this time.
Budget and Administrative Services. I spoke with the treasurer earlier this week, and apparently we're not, or last week, and apparently we're not broke yet, but we're working at it. The Bylaw and Policy Review Committee, Councillor Ranta.
Okay, so item number 1 on the agenda, permissive tax exemption bylaw, and I move that council.
I will declare a conflict
Okay.
as I'm on the board of directors of one of the opponents.
That council give final consideration to and adopt permissive tax exemption bylaw number 2-0121/2025.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
You can come back.
Yeah, it's all over.
Yay.
On to Public Works, Councillor Deber. Nothing. Healthcare and Protective Services, Councillor Ranta.
We had a meeting with, at UDCM with the, representatives from Interior Health regarding our concerns about maternity care and a couple of other concerns, regarding the Kamloops Health site, that were surrounding the issue of the cancer clinic, downgrade and our concerns about long-range planning and property restrictions and just some ideas about that. Today there was a local health committee meeting where there was a presentation on mental health services in our health site, and I do feel that our council should be expressing concern about the recent issue regarding obstetrical care and gynecological care at Royal and Young Hospital, and expressing that we hope for a resolution to the concerns raised by the physicians in the local conflict at this time. So I move
What's the motion?
that we write a letter to Interior Health to express our concerns regarding the reductions in obstetrics and gynecological services at Royal Inland Hospital.
Seconded. Any discussion? Didn't we already write a letter on that issue?
It's escalated since then with the wholesale resignation of all of the OBGYNs at the hospital.
Yeah, 5 of them or something, I think, yeah. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Carried? Thank you. Is that everything,
Yes.
Councillor Ranta? Yeah. Emergency Management, Councillor Peters?
Nothing at this time.
Thank you. Parks and Recreation, Councillor Ranta?
We have an upcoming committee meeting next week.
Thank you. Landfill Advisory Committee, I have nothing at this time. TNRD and under Intergovernmental Liaison, there's a meeting this week on Wednesday and Thursday, or Thursday and Friday, one or the other, whatever they are, I'll be there. Cache Creek Community Fund, Councillor Dubois.
Nothing at this time.
Staff reports, LGCAP, Local Government Climate Action Program Solar Project. I guess I would move that council authorize staff to pursue and purchase solar systems for the community hall, village office, and fire hall, utilizing up to $110,000 of LGCAP funding to achieve the best configuration for our organization.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Councillor Dubois.
So this, basically, if we don't spend this 110,000 by, call it the end of the year, we lose it, correct?
Not quite. There's 37,000 that if we don't spend by the end of the year, we will lose it. In the total amount that we have for LGCAP funding, we're around 180, I think. And that will have to be spent over the next few years, but we still have some time with the balance between, we have 37 we have to use, and that would put 133 that we have to, or that we still have time for. Our recommendation upon looking at some of the solar options, it seems like a good investment to do, because then over time it's going to pay for itself and then also pay dividends. The other benefit is you'll also notice that the quote that we have is for slightly less than the recommended amount. The goal is to try and find kind of the nice balance there, because the assessment that was completed, there's still opportunity to optimize that. So maybe it makes more sense to put stuff on the village office than the community hall, or vice versa. So there's still a little bit of engineering that would have to occur, even if Riverside Solar was a successful proponent. The big thing was we wanted to get an idea to see how much it would cost to do this kind of a project, and then if council's interested, we would then put it out to try and seek other bids.
Requests for
These guys, they were very quick to say, hey, we'll give you a proposal for free. So we were quick to say, okay, let us know what you think. And also just for council's information, the report only shows those 3 buildings. We did look at every structure within the municipality. The other ones just simply didn't make sense. We looked at the concession building in the park, has too many trees around it, not a very big space, wouldn't pay for itself until like 23 years. Very low usage. The old pool building doesn't lend itself well to solar, as well as some of the other stuff, just based on size and usage. The public works building wouldn't be able to hold it. The water treatment, the pump house doesn't have a lot of space on the roof. The treatment building does, but it uses so much power that it's difficult to offset. And then the wastewater treatment plant is a complete no-go simply because it's in the shadow of a mountain. So it would make no sense. Also, fun fact, in our area, south facing on a 45-degree angle is the best for solar energy production. So north-south facing, or south specifically, but like if you have a peak of the house and one's going to the south, it's the better side to do.
So I presume these solar panels would be mounted on the roofs of the 3 proposed buildings at a 45-degree angle?
Exactly, yeah.
So it wouldn't build up snow. I wondered about that.
Correct, yeah.
Thank you. On the Councillor Dubois?
I'm a little concerned about, I support getting solar panels, don't get me wrong. I'm concerned about locking up the additional 36,000 that we don't have to into a project without seeing where we're at. I'm inclined to support, at least at a minimum, putting it into the village office, because that seems to where there's a significant payback, but I'm just a little hesitant to do all this given where we're at. We're just about to start into a new budget cycle. That's a bit of what my concern is right now around this. So the other thing is that I would like to suggest that if we do go forward with this, that we take any of the savings that we do see from this program and put them back into a fund targeting additional energy upgrades and retrofits and stuff like that, so that we are always taking a path forward on this.
Thank you, Councillor Peters.
I would think cost-wise, a multi-building project would probably come in at a savings because they're doing more than one. I don't know if that would be something to consider.
Not in this case.
Not in this case.
Just
Okay.
based on how they do the projects.
Okay.
Because each of these, well, they're expensive by our means for sure.
Mhm.
They're all 1-2 day projects,
Okay.
and they'd be coming out of Kamloops.
Okay.
So
And then the second part of it is that I believe in the proposal, it was suggested that the offset could be used to fund the wastewater treatment plant power, as it is the most expensive in the community.
theoretically, it could, to an extent, because the idea with the program, the way that it sits, is if you have a facility that's over generating, those will be banked as credits, and you have the option at the end of your renewal cycle, I think it's usually, like for me, it's May. I don't know if it's the
Yeah,
same for everyone. I think
Depends
it
on
is.
when you sign on to it.
Yeah, but basically when your year-over-year time comes up, if you have credits banked, you can either keep it towards your regular bill or get paid out for it, but it's at a certain rate that's lower than the regular rate. Our wastewater treatment plant does use a considerable amount of power. The proposals as they sit, the fire hall would definitely have, it would be better than net zero. The community hall, not quite, it's about 70 to 80% roughly. and then the village office with a slight change. They just wanted, when they gave us the recommended footprint, they didn't look at the building construction, they just looked at the footprint that it could be on. And so they were fairly conservative. If they were to build out, say, the village office to the full size that we think that they could, based on conversations with the company, it would have a greater than net zero effect. Like, there's lots of space on the roof, roughly double of what's quoted. It would just be confirming that the weights and loads wouldn't be an issue for the structure. So, like, hypothetically, if council was to suggest going with one structure, this would probably be the one that I would recommend. If anybody was wondering, these do not include a battery system in any way, shape, or form. That was one of the questions that I asked for emergency management. That addition is to the tune of about $25,000, just for that to add into a building like this. And the systems are set up in such a way that if there is a power outage, like a general outage, they stop feeding the grid for safety reasons. I just want council to be aware, like, I know that this is typically where we would activate an EOC and that sort of thing, and that was a consideration that we had with this. The systems as presented would not power the building if there was no power. We have a generator and other means, but just so everyone's clear.
Councillor Dubois.
I appreciate that for this structure here as the potential EOC. I'm also wondering about the fire hall, because currently we have, I'm not mistaken, we have zero generation backup power or anything for the fire hall this time.
Just the trucks.
Which we used in 27.
So
2023, the fire truck was brought here to be a generator for the EOC.
Yeah.
But not the best one.
No.
but if there would be the ability to incorporate battery power at the fire hall, I think that would be a higher value. And I don't know if it would still qualify for LG cap, but I would be more inclined to put in battery storage at the fire hall rather than putting in additional panels at the hall. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I would suggest, if that's something that staff wanted to, if this is approved, that they could sort of get a little bit more into the nuts and bolts and come back with something more specific, I'd be willing to entertain that.
Thank you. We have a motion to authorize the purchase of solar systems for 3 buildings at a cost of $110,000 of LG cap funding. Is there any further discussion on the motion? Administrator Co-Chair.
Just confirming and bringing up that if there was a recommendation to add or remove buildings or change the funding amount, there should be an amendment if needed.
Seeing none. On the motion then, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried. On to the park coverall. There's 2 options for motions.
I would move the council award the contract to Pacific Apex Structures for the recover of the village's coverall building, including installation of bird prevention netting at a total cost of $230,730 plus applicable taxes.
Is there a seconder? I'll second for discussion. Discussion. Councillor Peters and then
I
Councillor
think
Dubois.
that we have to make a definitive decision on this. Staff have been looking for grant funding for a year at least, and have been unable to find anything that does that. The coverall is basically unusable as it is right now with the pigeon problem. I know at Graffiti Days, the Lions spent probably an hour and a half, even after staff had spent considerable time hosing out the coverall, just to make it so that around our food trailer we didn't have excrement on the ground. The holes are getting bigger, and with the winds that we have in Cache Creek, will only continue to get bigger. The only other option that I would maybe, and Councillor Dubois brought it up in an email today, and I was gonna bring it up tonight, is total removal. However, I think the cost of that might be quite extensive as well. So we can't let it continue to deteriorate and be an eyesore. We have enough problems down there as it is right now until we get the pool resolved. It just adds to that appearance of dereliction. And I think that we need to do something with that structure.
Thank you, Councillor Dubois.
The netting that's up there, or that was up there previously, what size mesh was that in comparison to what they're contemplating now?
I believe it was like 2.5 inch.
So it is significantly small.
Yeah, this is this is smaller because I brought up the specific concern that was in the past. I think that's why, because I think they estimated the netting at around $40,000. Even the person, when I was chatting with him to do the quote, he was kind of surprised, but realizing that 1 inch mesh, just how much more material that actually is. After he kind of factored that in, and him and I had the chat, we both kind of realized, well, maybe that makes sense.
Councillor Dubois.
I'm very much not in favor of this. I think if we had the ability to look at coming from outside sources to support this, but $230,000 is a lot of money to come out of our reserves for something that I'm not seeing tons of value in the community. My thought process would be that if we were to remove the canvas completely, I'm sure we could find somebody who would be willing to pay at least something for it, if not enough to at least cover the removal of it. And then we could utilize the structure as it stands without any kind of covering on it. And we still have the basketball courts and everything like that. So I'm not inclined to also support the second option of continuing Transseek funding. In my opinion, I think that if this motion is not successful, and I will not be voting in favor of it, I would suggest that we direct staff to come up with a plan to remove the canvas structure completely, and hoping that will eliminate the pigeon problem, which seems to be the biggest issue. That's just my thoughts. Thank you.
If we leave the structure though, they're not on canvas part of it, they're on the metal structure. That's
but
where
they're there because the canvas is keeping the water and everything off of them, and they can be protected from there rather than I think you'd still have some, don't get me wrong, but I think a lot of them would leave because it's not as nice as well. Sorry.
No problem. Administrator Kutcher.
Most of the nesting occurs on the two ends, on the rails that support against the two ends. So I think that the nesting would cease immediately if the canvas was removed. But I agree, it won't completely eliminate the problem, but I think there'd definitely be a reduction, significant reduction.
Councillor Ranta.
This is the first conversation we've had about this amount of money being spent on the coverall. Personally, at this time tonight, I'm not in favor of the cost of $230,000 to be put into that facility, because I think if somebody did a cost-benefit analysis, it wouldn't reflect enough use to justify the amount of money for our budget. If it was a very large municipality, it might, the cost benefit, the percentage of revenue, etc., might make sense. I've, for a long time, ever since I've been elected and even before, been extremely concerned about the safety of the facility, given the bird droppings in the facility. And so I'm really, really happy we are finally at a place to kind of consider options on the long-term viability of the facility. And I thank the staff for going ahead and doing some homework on this, trying to get grants. All of those things are what we, have finally got it here at the council table. I still think that given some of the options that have been discussed here tonight, such as potentially selling pieces of it, the cost of tearing it down, and then this cost, those are all options that I think council should consider with a little bit longer time frame. I was at meetings all weekend, so basically I've had less than 24 hours to think about this expenditure, which is just it's just not digestible for me to vote yes for that amount of money with 1 day of consideration. So I would like this this matter and this proposal and the other options that have been brought up tonight to go to a committee for further investigation to be brought back to council. And the committee would likely be Parks and Recreation, which we are fortunately having a meeting next week. So I think that putting this
timing.
I think this really belongs in committee. It is a lot of money for us, and I really think that knowing more about other options would really benefit a good decision, no matter which one we end up with at the end of the day.
So what you're suggesting is tabling until after the Parks and Recreation Committee has an opportunity to
It would
discuss
be a
the
motion
issue.
to refer.
Yeah,
to
point of order,
committee.
to table it means it has to come up at the next meeting, and I'm not sure that that's a long enough period of time. My suggestion would be to defeat the motion and then have another motion to have it referred to committee.
No, I'm allowed as a secondary motion to refer the matter to the Parks and Recreation Committee. A
Okay, as long as
motion to
it's not
refer.
tabled, yeah,
Motion to refer.
Okay,
Agreed, don't table.
yeah.
It needs a
is there a seconder?
I'll second.
Seconded, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, opposed, carried?
To confirm, that was unanimous, right?
Yes, it
Yeah.
was.
Yes, it
Yeah.
was.
Thinky things on the list.
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised at the cost of this. I thought we just needed to replace one blue panel.
So that's
But,
To replace 2 blue panels is like 140.
yeah,
It's mobilization and demobilization that costs all the money.
So
and,
just
and also the,
motion to refer. Okay.
it looks to me as if they're planning on replacing the metal superstructure, or no?
No, I think it's just the way that they had their proposal written up.
Oh, okay,
I clarified that in conversation, but no, it would just be the actual canvas.
okay, good, good,
All of the canvas.
thank you.
I do have one question. How did that grant go or it didn't go?
We're still confirming some stuff with conversations direct with NDIT. It didn't make it in front of the board for some reasons that we're trying to clarify. We're not quite sure yet.
There's still questions then.
There's some, their staff have questions for us. We just didn't hear about them in time. And it sounds like they wanted to see a bit more stuff fleshed out. Because looking at it long-term, like with NDIT, anytime that they award funds for something, they want to make sure that that thing that they award funds for is going to, like, there's a plan for it in the future. And so I think that that was part of it, right?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. On to item C in staff reports, disaster resilience and innovation funding project update, CAO Couture.
Very brief verbal update, and I apologize that it's verbal. We ran out of time for me to write it all down at the end of last week. The drift project, the theoretical project that we're looking at is well underway. Specifically, we had a meeting 2 weeks ago with Urban Systems and True Consulting to discuss kind of the overall look for the project. And the scope of the project, for anyone that's unfamiliar, is from basically the Equality Project upstream to the border of the village of Cache Creek. And it encompasses a couple kind of overarching goals. Priority 1 is protecting our wastewater system. It's a wastewater corridor for us that travels and kind of goes back and forth underneath the underneath the creek. And so protecting that so it isn't damaged or infiltrated and sees a bunch of other stuff. Second, protection of the natural environment from flood damage and that sort of thing. And third, if we're protecting our wastewater system anyways, we need access to our wastewater system, which would likely be in the form of a road not a fully fleshed out like street, but a path that a vehicle could travel for maintenance purposes. And that would also double as a recreational trail. And that was part of our application as a value add. And the grant funders, that was that was something specifically that they flagged. I'm not sure if they would like that idea or not, but they love that there's that value add to the community. You're not just throwing something in the ground and never seeing it again. You see a path over top that people can go and walk through the community on, but it also serves as a way to maintain our system. So they were very pleased to see that. So we're making sure that that's kind of a core tenet of our overall plan. So again, had a meeting with Urban Systems, True Consulting. There was 4 engineers, myself, Christina, and Alana. We discussed the corridor, and then subsequently last week, they had a hydrologist and what was his?
Biologist.
Yes, he's a type of biologist, but doesn't matter. Essentially what they did is they divided that chunk of waterway into 3 sections, looking for habitat that's important, certain nesting birds that need to be protected, things within the waterway that, or features within the waterway that would better lend themselves to certain other improvements, or they don't have that, they need it now, or basically they went through the whole waterway in that section and tried to figure out ways to deal with our issue, but also making the creek itself more resilient to flooding. Because through that whole area, there's scour, there's deposition of soils, it's just a mess. Trees being washed away, all that sort of stuff. So they have a few recommendations to be put into the actual grant plan for the Category 2 grant application, because what we did was the Category 1 for planning. So, but they'd seen aerials and photos of the area, but they had never walked the creek itself, so that was their first experience with it. They agreed wholeheartedly that the idea that we have makes a lot of sense for that. Light touch, protecting what's critical, and enhance the environment so that it can protect itself. Is essentially the idea. Yeah.
Thank you. Any questions for CAO Couture on that issue? No?
Just happy to hear it moving forward.
Okay, we have information correspondence, 3 items of incoming correspondence and none of outgoing. I would move that we receive and file the correspondence.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
I have discussion on the
Councillor Ranta.
on the school district newsletter. I'm really proud that each and every staff member in School District 74 attended a cultural camp on local Indigenous culture, led by local elders near schools and on the traditional territories that are adjacent to schools. So the school district has kind of got a complex makeup of Indigenous communities. We have 3 First Nation nations and 20 First Nation bands that we liaise with and provide services to and have good relationships with. And recently the Ministry of Education did a lot of work on providing legislation for school districts to have Indigenous education councils, something that our school district has had for over 25 years. And so we're a bit, like we still have ways to go as far as meeting the calls to action for the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. However, we're in a good place and moving in the right direction. So, I think that as a council, we should consider our actions too for reconciliation. I think one way that we could just move ahead with that would be to do a land acknowledgement at each meeting, something that we've been delayed with. But I don't think we should delay much longer, and maybe that's something that we can go ahead with on our own.
Thank you. On the motion then, to receive and file the correspondence, any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Is there any new business? I just want to recognize that we've got a machine down in the community hall parking lot that I think is going to ultimately result in something happening there, our parking lot
Finally?
getting restored or something. So thank you for that.
I love how specific you are with that.
Yeah.
Ultimately gonna result in something.
Yeah, that's right.
It's, they're completing, and I was just as shocked as you were today because I thought they were coming next week. So when I saw them there, I was like, oh, great. They're completing phase 1 of the work on that project behind where the parking lot was removed. And so what we'll see, probably, it's not gonna be a very long project, thankfully. They should be done quite quick. But probably within the next week or so, we're gonna see that instead of having to have a fence there, there's gonna be a slope, like a nice safe slope. All the junk that was down there, that kind of washed up and stayed there, is gonna be removed, and they're gonna have a little drainage channel for all the drainage that goes to that space. So it's not gonna be back up to grade or a parking lot or anything. That'll all come with the actual creek realignment, but it'll be something so it's not an eyesore fence that's been there for 2 years. So.
Thank you. Any other new business? Seeing none, are there any questions from the public? No? Yes.
Just an update on Ports Road for the culvert or the bridge. Just kind of what's happening there.
We continue to work on it, and we expect, I think we had some drill rigs down there a little while ago, checking the condition of the soils and whatnot. And I think it's fair to say that the council is optimistic that we'll have a resolution of some sort, a bridge or a culvert or something, by the end of 2026.
At least in construction. At least that. I don't want to say it'll be done.
Started.
Cautiously optimistic.
Cautiously optimistic. Yes, the biggest thing with that right now is we do have applications into DFA for bridge, and I feel the only thing stopping it right now is the BCGEU strike is impacting many different facets of government right now. So I don't blame the staff by any means. They're not allowed to be there to even look at the file. So.
Yeah. We haven't forgotten about it.
Nope.
Okay.
And neither have they. They want to be sitting there looking at it.
You and I both want to be able to go down Quartz Road and onto the highway.
Exactly.
Love to be able to make a right turn.
Yeah, I was noticing the creek when we were walking with the dogs, is that the creek is really quite kind of getting high and really running, like.
I noticed the Bonaparte today as well is a little higher than it was.
Right?
So I don't know
Because
what that is.
compared to the summer, there was kind of a little trickle, and I was like,
Yeah.
wow, it's really.
There's been some snow in the higher altitudes, and then it melted.
And then it
Okay.
was, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like a little micro freshet.
Yeah.
But
Got
it's, additionally, I think all the farmers have turned off their diversions.
Yeah.
That
So,
yeah, that's.
Because we were completely dry in Cache
On
Creek
that
by the
side.
bridge
Yeah.
for a couple weeks, and
Yeah.
then I
Just the
heard,
underground, yeah.
yeah, I heard the farmers turned off their diversions, and then literally the next day it was back to normal.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions from the public? Seeing none, any questions from the press?
Not today.
Oh, what a shame. Could I have a motion to adjourn then?
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion? All those in favor, opposed, carried. There's no